cleansing and warm, but not comforting. A heavy downpour, too heavy, the torrents of water pounding the midnight shadows on the river, difficult for her to see 10 feet in front of her. Augustina Gomez, 13, raised her gloved hand to swipe at her face and the bill of her baseball cap, about to enter the Rio Grande. The river was angry. 2 months into their journey from their village in Peru, they were exhausted and hungry. But now, with them so close, they were exhilarated and determined. Her uncle kept her in front of him as they waded in, redirecting her by her shoulders each time the chaotic water got the better of them, him under a floppy bucket hat, her wearing a beat-up midnight green ball cap with a Philadelphia Eagles logo. The waist-high river pushed hard at them, left to right. If they lost their footing and couldn't right themselves, it could drag them under and keep them there. A midnight crossing was better for evading Texas law enforcement, which was their intention, but in this much of a rainstorm it was dangerous. She turned to look past her uncle's shoulder. Her father and baby sister were still on the Mexico side at the river's edge. "You must not worry about them, Augustina. You must keep walking," her tío Ernesto called in Spanish. "My brother will start after we cross." Exhausted, she and her uncle pulled themselves out of the river and onto the bank, their waterproof backpacks intact. She didn't sit, instead removed her cap, shook it, and resettled it on her head so she could better see back across the 300-foot width of river to the other bank. Her father, his backpack larger than her uncle's, now gathered up her 2-year-old sister in his arms. They entered the water. Augustina and her uncle watched. Headlights suddenly switched on behind them on the Texas soil, 2 sets that pierced the thick downpour. An announcement came in English, then in Spanish, through a bullhorn. "This is the United States Border Patrol." Behind the voice were an SUV and a box truck. She'd heard about them, heard they were pleasant, just overworked because so many families like hers were looking for a better life in America. Still, she didn't want to meet them in the flesh. She wanted instead to go directly to Peruvian, friends in a small homestead a day's walk from the border. That hope was now dashed. Doors slammed and 3 figures in yellow rain gear passed through the vehicle's high beams, approaching them on foot. The agents spread out, one man calling at her uncle in Spanish, telling him to stay where he was, also telling him to make sure that Chiquita does too. Her family's plan A, because of Title 42 COVID restriction expulsions and the U.S. government's zero-tolerance policy, was to cross the river, evade capture, even though many immigrants welcomed it, stay with other Peruano immigrant families in Texas, request asylum, and start new lives safe from the Peruano drug lords. Or Plan B, if necessary, at least for Augustina per her papa, enter an immigration and customs enforcement detention center if caught by Border Patrol, request asylum, then wait for papa to find her after he and baby sister Gabby cross the river.